Now first you must understand the basis of the COVID strain. There have been many different mutations from the original COVID virus, which was contagious only to reptiles at the time. That strain is believed to have killed off 95% of life on this world 3.8 billion years ago when it first came to Earth, a byproduct possibly of the Great Oxidization event. It is believed that the original strain was stopped by an ice age, the first ice age, that froze the virus somewhere, and it has stayed frozen and dormant all this time deep beneath the ice sheets.
An outbreak of coronavirus infections in the Wuhan province of China in December 2019 is threatening to emerge as the next pandemic. At current count, over 4,556 cases and 106 deaths reported in China, and approximately 100 cases in 15 other countries. According to Lancaster University researchers, this will grow to 250,000 cases in the next 12 days. The alarming speed of transmission is in part because the virus spreads through the air and by touch. Using the power of 3D medical animation, this video covers what is a pandemic, how this coronavirus is spreading, how coronavirus attacks the body, and what are recommended precautions to take for protecting against epidemics.
It has evolved into 19 different versions since then, and this last one was not normal as far as this bacteria goes. The virus, which is used by other species as a weapon to conquer entire worlds with, goes through a series of cellular mutations. First it will infect the hosts which it first comes into contact with, and it will duplicate the cellular defense processes. Its main tool to do this with is the RNA sequence connector that it attaches to other cells with, using it to deactivate any defenses the cell may have activated by convincing the cell it is not a threat. Then it begins duplicating the cell's genetic information as it infects the cell, using it to continue to spread the bacteria for it.
Mechanism of action, mechanism of disease, of coronavirus. The 2019 novel coronavirus is a newly discovered strain from the coronavirus family that causes respiratory disease. Humans have long been infected by coronavirus, as it is one of those responsible for the common cold. It is a contagious viral infection spread through inhalation or ingestion of viral droplets. As a result, coughing and sneezing and touching infected surfaces are primary sources of infection. The structure of coronavirus has multiple parts. Inside the virus lies the genetic encoding that allows the virus to hijack human cells and turn them into virus factories. A protein encapsulates the genetic material known as the viral envelope. On the surface of the viron are S and HE proteins. The structure of 2019 novel coronavirus is a mutation. For more info on this, see the link below. The large S glycoproteins are used by the virus to gain entry to human cells. They attach to receptors on the cell membrane. This binding convinces the cell that the viron is not a threat, allowing the virus entry. The exact mechanism for this is not known. Possibly the virus binds with the human cell's membrane, releasing its contents into the cytoplasm. Alternatively, as shown here, the human cell ingests the virus in a process known as endocytosis. Once inside the cytoplasm, the endosome opens to reveal the virus's genetic material, a single-stranded RNA. The virus hijacks the cell's machinery to replicate the RNA and N proteins, and uses the endoplasmic reticulum to form its M protein outer layer, and the all-important S protein.
This cellular information is shared with the virus in a hive mind-like structure of communication once the bacteria becomes a virus and the variant stage mutates into an airborne virus. Until then it is merely a complex bacteria. Once the virus is airborne, it compiles the genetic data, using all the worst viral processes that it encounters to create an offensive, contagious and highly lethal variant stage.
After replication, the virus is carried by the Golgi bodies out of the cell in a process known as exocytosis, so that it can infect other cells. Meanwhile, the stress of viral production on the endoplasmic reticulum eventually leads to apoptosis, or cell death. It should be noted that the mechanism of action for 2019 novel coronavirus is unknown. However, scientists in China have sequenced the genome, while others have used the sequencing to visualize the structure. The risk of novel coronavirus is very real. However, the world is also better prepared. In the 15 years since SARS, biology has advanced, and so has communication between biologists and governments. For further information, see the resources listed here.
It is then that the COVID variant will begin to cross species as it continues to adapt with every host it infects. By this point the virus will increase its infection rate and incubation cycle before mutating into the next variant stage. The last cycle will be quick and much less lethal, whereas the previous 3 or 4 stages will have been the most lethal, usually mutating into a body fluid contact infection variant to a blood-borne pathogen variant to a respiratory infectious variant, then finally an airborne virus, then to a cross-species contagious variant before reaching the final stage, where it will become less lethal and then go dormant as it incubates. It is in this stage you will want to introduce their genetic augmentation sequence to alter the variant into what species you want to clone, then follow up with the Super Soldier Project's formula that increases the cellular development of their subjects while maintaining this microbial pool within a synthetic fetal incubator. A newborn fetal embryo will develop within the incubator, using synaptic transmission impulses to guide the cloned fetus towards self-sustainable life. Support process will be necessary as it will have no inherent genetic data to base itself off of. This process is how the species we call the Greys, including mankind, was originally created.
Now let me make something clear here. Donald Trump, you stand before the world. Take an act that symbolizes your alliance to me, a religion based upon my struggles and suffering. But yet you refuse to follow my direct instruction. I told you not to run for president. I made it obvious that I was leaning towards Ms. Harris. Her presidency would have guided us towards a peaceful, organized transition into the stars. She would have become an iconic symbol for women everywhere, and someone who held her as a mentor would one day save humanity from an apocalyptic scenario diverted by someone with a keen mind who held her as a mentor from the accomplishments she would have inspired. Luckily, I found an alternate route to still bring this to pass. Next time you want to play weekend worshipper with a whole nation as your ante to join in our game, try researching what happened to the fools who have already tried that option.